welcome to Inside the Mind of, a podcast where I dive deeper into the minds of some of my favorite people and people who inspire me in the wrestling community. Join with me today. She is a writer and editor on Nerds and Beyond, writer for Body Slam Net, co-creator of Romanticized Wrestling, one half of Tag Talk on Fightful Overbooked, Miss Haley Ann.
That was perfect. You touched on everything.
Listen, it helps when people have it in their bios.
I think I have everything. I'm pretty sure. But
and if you didn't, great. Then I creeped.
Ooh, I love a good creep.
Well, how are you, dear?
Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy we finally set this up. Lots of hyping each other up on Twitter, women supporting women.
Oh yeah, the hashtag what is it? Find Women of Wrestling or whatever. Oh, yep. Listen, I was hyping you up. I was like, listen, I love the ladies.
Same. So anytime I see the hashtag, I'm like, you know what? Yes, women. Let's go support. I love you all. You're all beautiful. You're all gorgeous. And then when people start hyping me up, I'm like, oh no, please don't.
Literally, I'm like, maybe, let's not.
I'm like, maybe I shouldn't post pictures that I was expecting nobody to see.
Me.
Like that last one I did, I was like, ooh, maybe this isn't for the Twitters.
Oh, that was spicy. I loved it. It was great. I was like, yep. Honestly, you were inspiring me. I was like, maybe I should, but...
Honestly, when you're alone in your hotel room in Vegas for Money in the Bank, you do what you gotta do, you know?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, or on Twitter.
I was gonna say, don't I fucking know it in more ways than one. So... for this, we're just going to talk. I'm just going to ask you some questions about your podcasting life and journey, and then just questions about you and get to know you, because I don't know how open you are.
I'm an open book. You can literally ask me anything.
Well, then there we go. So we'll start with a nice, simple one. Like I said, like I ran down your resume basically in the beginning. How did you get your start into this crazy podcasting world?
Well... I do entertainment journalism as a day job, and I've always watched wrestling. Growing up, I was a big wrestling fan. My dad and I watched together. And I was starting to feel really unfulfilled in what I was doing. I was like, maybe I just need some redirection. Burnout was real. Mm-hmm. I was like, I kind of want to try something different. So I took some time off, and I really started watching wrestling again. I was deep in AEW at this point, because look, where CM Punk goes, I go. so I was deep in AEW at this point, and I was like, maybe I should combine my love of wrestling and my love of writing and get into it that way. And so I applied to some places. Understandably, they didn't want me because I didn't have a ton of wrestling journalism experience at the time. But I got in with Body Slam, and I had a show over there with Kylie, my co-host for Tag Talk, and Shell Nicole. And yeah, that's kind of how that started, and then it spiraled into Fightful and what we do now. So.
But I love that, though. You took your love of journalism and writing, and then your love of wrestling, and just basically said, I'm just going to mush these together and create what I want to do. And like I said, you are very successful and very much everywhere. And I love that for you. Girl boss energy, let's go.
Listen, I love this. Because my ego is so fragile. So when people are nice to me, I'm like, wow.
I am the same way. I'm like, people are nice? Oh no. What I do?
But yeah, and I noticed too, there aren't a ton of, there are now. I feel like there are a lot more women coming up in the wrestling podcast space, but at the time, maybe I was just unaware, but I felt like there wasn't a ton happening. So I was like, let me get into this, you know?
I just had this conversation the other day. It's like I started podcasting in 2019, 2020. I don't even remember anymore. But I was a part of a show that was all men.
Mm.
And then I went and started this. So I completely understand. Like, there was a very much lack of women in podcasting, specifically for wrestling podcasting. And now I see so many women doing this. I'm like, yes, finally, we're all here. We're alive. Like, we're our own entity now.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of time a couple of months ago where I was kind of gonna hang it up. I was like, maybe this is just not working. I had another show on Fightful, Demo Divas, and I was like, maybe it's just time for me to like, like put on my boots and like get out of here, like But then the person that I was dating at the time, he is also kind of in this space.
Mm-hmm.
He really encouraged me to keep going, and Kylie and I, that's without his encouragement, like Kylie and I wouldn't have started Tag Talk. So yeah, I owe a lot of that to a lot of people.
And it's good to have a nice core support system, whether that be Kylie, your ex, just anyone. Even at that time, it was good to have
Yeah.
him.
Well, yeah, and I feel like a lot of people in this space, like, I feel like for us, like, you just see us, like, on a screen or, like, our writing or whatever we do.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we are people behind the scenes, and I feel like sometimes people forget that and they really take it out on us specifically. And I feel like it's the same for wrestlers as well, but, I've really had to, like, toughen up because people are ruthless.
Oh my god, people are terrible. It's like so every show I do, I always have like the crisis text line and like the suicide prevention lifeline on screen, and it's in like the top thing in the description every time, because that's the thing, like people are just like, oh, they're on a screen, they're on the TV, they're not real people. News fucking flash, we have feelings, your words hurt, whether you think they do or not. Like, did people grow up like learning not to bully, and then here comes everybody in waves just bullying each other? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I feel like the IWC specifically is horrible. I I have all my quality filters on all my social media. If it's not my Twitter, everything is locked. Like I just like to stay in my own little bubble, and maybe that's like bad, but
No, I
listen.
don't think that's bad. You sometimes you have to protect. Like that's why a lot of people like delete their Twitters, because it's such a toxic place. So they said, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this. So I don't think there's anything wrong with protecting yourself. No, no, no. Mental health over physical health and everyone else. That's what I think.
100%. I agree.
So, so you've been in this podcasting world for a few years. Do you have a favorite episode you have done, whether that be on Tag Talk with Kylie or just you guest starring on another podcast? Any favorite episodes that jump to you?
You know, on Demo Divas, it was kind of a show for the me, Jay Shell, and Kylie to, because we're in the female demographic and we really just wanted to discuss women's wrestling. So that was kind of our platform to do that at Fightful Overbooked. But we did an episode on the AEW women's division and the state of it at the time. And we basically just aired out all of our frustrations and grievances. And it did very well. We weren't expecting that. And honestly, it's something that I'm still proud of to this day. It was like a standalone episode. We hadn't done anything like that before, but we we really went in, but in a good way. Like, and I feel like since then, a lot of things have changed. So I'm not saying that Tony Khan listens to us, but
I mean, Tony Khan's got ears everywhere, so I wouldn't really be surprised. And that is something that a lot of people bring up, especially like in the beginning, was AEW's women's division. So the fact that people dedicated specific episodes of their podcasts or just topics, like I know, like you guys did it. I feel like there's been a few episodes of other shows I listened to that kind of just took time, broke down the division, and said, here's what we think could be better and like what's not going right. And honestly, good for you guys. Like you're not kissing Tony Khan's ass. You're I feel like it's people nowadays, it's like you're AEW, you're WWE, you're not allowed to be both, which is stupid. Cuz I'm both and I don't
I
care.
understand
Like
that.
people are
There's
terrible.
content out there for everybody, and people harp on Kylie and I sometimes because on Tag Talk, we're notably like not as positive when it comes to WWE. But look, we're gonna be honest. When things are good, we note that. When things are bad, we note that. And I'm sorry that like 9 times out of 10, like they just can't handle their tag division or the women's division. That's not my problem.
No, you're right though. I mean, hopefully with Triple H in charge now, especially everything after SummerSlam. Whew, I mean, tears. How you gonna
I
start?
was sobbing.
And so, like, I went to SummerSlam last year. I think I chose the wrong one to go to. Like,
I'm saying, maybe I should have went.
like, what is this? I'm mad. I'm mad that, like, I mean, yeah, I got to see, like, Brock return and Becky, but Dakota and Io? And Edge? It's not fair.
And the ring just like floating in the air from a tractor from Brock Lesnar. What?
Oh, and then Roman just falling out like a cartoon character. It's the funniest thing. It's like, uh, so I agree. Like, when things are good, they're good. When things are bad, they're bad. I shit on both companies because they both
Yeah.
are terrible in a
Yeah.
lot of different ways.
Yeah, I don't shill for anybody, no matter what people think. I don't care.
The only person I will die on any hill for is Rhea Ripley and Adam Cole.
Me. Literally me.
Like, there's a little Adams right here. He's always just vibing. He's not in a corner as people think he is. There's not a corner there.
I have a little like wrestle buddy somewhere that I usually have with me when I record shows, but I don't know where he is.
That's like my only little wrestling thing here right now. Is just little Adam Cole. He's always there, just watching the shows. He's my guardian.
Yes, he should be the co-host.
He's my unofficial co-host. Has been from the jump. Good job, buddy.
He's a great co-host.
He is. He doesn't talk. He just lets me do all the talking.
The best kind of man.
That's literally what I was gonna say. See, same wavelength. I love this. This is great.
He has to be.
So, with everything you have done, any unexpected moments that happened that either like caught you off guard, made you like bust out into laughter, into tears, like something that like completely shook you to your core? Anything that you can remember?
In my career?
Yeah.
um I would say, I don't know. Kylie and I, so we both have ADHD. So like sometimes when we're recording, like we'll say something, and usually it's like Kenny Omega related or like the Elite related, and it has nothing to do with the topic. But then we go on a tangent for like 30 minutes, and we just bust out into laughter, like it's bad. But I would say, honestly, getting my position at Fightful, like, because Fightful is a place that I've always wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire so many people there, and Jeremy Lambert, goat of headlines over there, he's basically my mentor, and I wouldn't be at Fightful if it wasn't for him. So I would say that the day I got that opportunity, I screamed.
I don't blame you. Especially if that's a place you wanted to go and wanted to work at, like getting that opportunity, I'd be jumping off the roof, like.
And I haven't been at this long. It's been a little less than a year, I think.
Wow.
So to have that opportunity, like, I want to say like 5 or 6 months in, I was like, that I don't deserve this. Like,
No,
my body.
no. Do not put yourself down like that. You definitely deserve this. They clearly saw something in you. Please don't cry. No. I'm like a if I see you cry, I cry type of person, so please do not cry.
Okay, no tears. No tears for me. I won't cry.
No
We're
tears.
good.
I
I
have
don't
too
want to make
many
you
shows I cry on, so I would prefer not to cry anymore.
I
But
won't make you cry, I promise.
oh, it's okay. If I end up crying, so be it. Whatever. It happens.
Greatest therapy session.
Yeah, I've come to realize that these podcasts or just like talking with other people on Zoom, like seeing them, has really become like a nice therapy session without it being like my friends now are my therapists and they have to deal with me. So sorry guys.
I felt that.
So besides everything you do with the little spare time you probably have, do you have other hobbies that you like to do?
I'm a big reader. I
Okay.
love to read. And that maybe that comes with like writing as a job, but I have an entire bookshelf that's next to me that obviously you can't see. But I just it's like filled with probably 100 books.
Wow.
So I love to read.
Okay. Okay. I'm a big reader as well, so like I feel that in my soul.
What are your like favorite genres?
So I really like mystery type books or like thrillers. Uh that's like I like when I have to like think about it. There's one book, I can't remember what it is anymore. I read it a few years ago. Um God, it's gonna bother me now. It ended up being like a movie too, but it was it was about like this girl and she like witnesses her mom get murdered or something, but like her brother is like the suspect. I have like the vaguest memory of this, and I don't even think I have the book anymore. But it was one of I think it was my sister's book, and I like stole it and read it, and I think she took it back.
Oh, I love
But
that.
stuff like that, because it ends up like not being her brother, and spoiler, I can't even think of the book, so nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about anyways. But it's stuff like that, and I actually, as even though it's like a young adult novel, I started the Crank series,
Mm.
which is about this woman. So the lady who wrote it, it was an experience about her daughter and her slow start in addiction to cocaine. And it's so interesting to like read. And there's like 10 books in this series, and there's so many. And a lot of them are like written like in a spiral and like written different ways, and like they spell out different things on the pages. That's another thing that gets me. If you do something creative with how you write, I'm in. 100%.
Oh, 100%. I feel like that would make my ADHD go crazy, but I'm interested and I kind of want to read this now.
So I've only read the first one so far. Highly recommend. It's like 400 some pages. It's a thick book.
Adding it to my notes. There we go.
What about you? What do you like to read with your 100 books over there?
I'm a big like memoir person. I also love like young adult things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hold on. I mean, hello.
Hello.
My two favorite tag teams in the entire world. But I love like young adult novels. Have you heard of Daisy Jones and the Six?
I feel like I have heard that. I don't think I've read it, but I feel like I know somebody who has.
It's a great book. It's set in like the 70s and it's like a rock band. And it's told like in an interview perspective from like the band.
Ooh, okay.
And there's like a girl, Daisy Jones. She's kind of like out on her own, but then she gets like paired with this band. It's such a great book, and they're making it into a series on Amazon. I'm so excited.
Okay.
So excited.
Listen, like I'm 26 and I'm still a sucker for young adult novels. Some of them are so good. Like I read too many books at one time, and then like I'm just all over the place with them. I also started reading, it's like Stalking Jack the Ripper series. And so like the first one's that, and then there's like one about Dracula, and then they're so good because it's like set in that time, and the descriptions and the words they use. Like I felt like I was there.
I need to get into this. Jack the Ripper is one of the cases that I've followed for such a long time. I would enjoy that. I would read that.
Honestly, I'm a big like true crime person too. So, Haley, are we just like bonding here? Is this what I'm noticing?
I think so. I don't think this is an interview. I think this is just like a bonding experience.
This is just hanging out at this point.
100%. I love it.
That's what I try and do with this, especially like because like you briefly brought up, like you don't really do interviews anymore, which I 100% understand. So the fact that you even said yes, and hopefully this is like a good experience so far, and we're just hanging out, and then I occasionally throw a question at you, like.
I love it. Honestly, this is really cool, and I think you're a cool gal.
Thank you.
And I'm happy I did this.
I'm so happy, and then I can't wait to have Kylie on, like. So her episode's coming out like 2 weeks after yours. So the fact that I got both of you and they're gonna come out like one after another, I count that as a win for me. Give me a dub for myself. Thank you.
We love it. No L's here.
No more L's. We taken too many L's this year. Chalk us some dubs. Let's go. So this is one question I always ask, like, okay, I ask all these questions to everybody, but this is one I always like hearing the answer to. Do you remember, like, the table for three thing they have on the network? So it's kind of like that, except you and 3 other wrestlers, and they can either be dead or alive. So you get to pick your 3. Who are you picking and why?
Oh, God. That's so hard. And, like, I would pick tag teams, but counting them as one would not be fair. So I'll do singles. I'm gonna say Kenny Omega, Bret Hart, and Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus because she was the woman that got me into wrestling as a kid and women's wrestling, and she was my bi-awakening as a child. Wow. So Trish Stratus, 100%. Bret Hart, I mean, he's a legend. Like, I love Bret Hart. And Kenny Omega, I can't say enough good things about Kenny Omega. I love that man so much. And like, I'm going to All Out. Okay. As soon as like there was like tea that like he may show up there, I was like, I'm buying tickets. I have to go, and I'm probably gonna cry. So yeah, he's my favorite wrestler of like the modern era, I would say. So definitely those 3.
Okay, I feel you on the Trish thing. I was more of a Lita girl, and that kind of inspired my bi-awakening. So like
I love that. Team bestie. Look at us.
Literally team bestie. That's us now. I'm sorry, Kylie. I'm taking her for a little bit. You can have her back, but I'm taking her for this hour and some change. I'm taking her. Kylie's gonna watch this and be like, what the fuck?
She probably will.
So I'll have to apologize to her in advance when I interview her in a few days. I think I'm sorry, Haley and I were just like having a great time bonding. We might be best friends now. I don't know what to tell you.
Listen, if she's allowed to have more best friends than me, I'm allowed to have more best friends than her.
That's fair. Yeah. Equality.
We love it.
We love to see it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, fuck. This is so funny. So, do you have any advice for anyone listening, whether that's your professional life, writing, podcasting, etc., or just personal? Give me any advice you want to give to the people watching or listening.
I don't know if people want to take advice from me. I can't even take my own advice half the time.
I'm the same way.
People come to me as like their therapist, and I give out such great advice. But then, like, when it comes time for me to listen to myself, I'm like, suddenly I can't read.
It's like, oh man, these are just letters. I'm the same way.
Advice. What would I give? I think professionally, I would say, like, and personally as well, like, I want to stress the importance of, like, being yourself especially when you're on the internet, it can be so easy to compare yourself to other people or put on a front.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just think the more that you're yourself, the more that you're going to succeed because people are going to relate to that and they're going to want to see you, you know, do big things and they're going to encourage that. And I just think that that's really important because social media is so toxic.
I know. We even talked about it before, like toxicity in specifically the IWC. Y'all know who you are. It's it's terrible. Sometimes I don't even like want to go on my phone, and and that's how I talk to like the majority of my friends is on Twitter and through like group chats. So the fact that I even have to like go on and then I end up scrolling and I'm like, like mistakes are always made because people are just rude and yeah, you want to be yourself, and then you have people who are just like, nope, you're not allowed to be yourself. You have to be fake. You have to be this. You have to be what I expect you to be in my mind.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that put on these fronts and they have like temporary success that way, but the fall is real. Like I feel like I'm a big believer in like karma and all that kind of stuff, and that all catches up. So I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be authentic, because I don't want that coming back to me.
No, I am also a big believer in karma. I understand. It's like it's what you give in the world, you get out of the world kind of thing. So if you're being yourself and you're being genuine, hopefully there are people who are doing the same to you. And just like don't be fake to other people. That's another thing like going along with that is if you like don't use people,
Yep.
especially if they have like a little bit of notoriety and fame. Don't use them, especially for bad things. If you occasionally just like, hey, I know this person in like just a casual conversation, I'll be like, that's awesome. How'd you guys like? How did that happen? And I'll ask you questions about it. But if you're gonna use it in like a negative connotation or to try and make yourself sound better, go fuck yourself.
Yep. I 100% agree. Um, and like I'm a person like if I can help you, like I will. Like I love doing stuff for other people, and I will help out as much as I can. But I'm also a people pleaser in that way, and I think that sometimes like it's so easy to get taken advantage of, and you really have to be careful, especially in a space like this.
Yeah, and being a woman in this space definitely doesn't help.
It's horrible. The stuff that we have to deal with on a daily basis is insane. We could literally just tweet like I want a sandwich or like I'm hungry and people would be at our throats. Like you don't deserve to eat. You
It's
don't
like
deserve to breathe air.
it's like the government's already trying to take away my rights. I don't need someone else on the internet telling me to take away my rights too.
Period. Oh my gosh.
Like I just got into an argument the other week about because a girl posted like a picture and then someone like zoomed in on like a stretch mark or something,
Oh,
and
I saw that on Twitter.
yeah, so it pissed me off, and I'm usually very quiet about kind of stuff and I just let it go and it doesn't involve me, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm in a mood today, I'm gonna go after him. And I responded, I was like, we use filters, it's in quotes for people listening, and use makeup and everything because if we're ourselves, men are like, ew, gross, you have to look like this. And we're not Barbie dolls. We're not all plastic and shiny and quote unquote perfect. Like, we have scars and stretch marks and everything else. So the fact that I was arguing with boys, they're not even men, they're boys. The fact that I had to spend part of my time while I was at work, but like I don't like my job anyways. So while I'm just at work tweeting back at these boys, I'm like, this is exhausting. You guys are terrible.
It really is. And that's so funny to me because like the way that beauty standards have changed over the last like couple hundred years is crazy. Like, men back then, like way back then, they championed women that had, flaws. And like over time, society obviously favors men. And so many of the things that women have or like have to deal with were created by men. And, you know, it's like a control thing, and I hate that.
I do too. It's disgusting.
It is.
I, we could just have a whole podcast on that. Shit.
Honestly, maybe we should.
Shit, at this point we might have
Or
to.
we can pitch it later.
We'll pitch it. Somebody's listening. Somebody will have it. If not, we do it ourselves. Girl boss energy only on here for today, and then I have to deal with men the rest of my time. But for this show, girl boss energy, 100%. So this is another one that I like hearing the answer to. If you had to write an autobiography to your life to this day, what would be the title and why are you choosing that title?
So the funny thing is, over the past like couple of years, I've been like, you know, I should really write a book about my life because it's crazy. And whenever I tell people stories, they're like, you have such an insane life. So it would have to be like something with like horrors or something. Like,
Jesus.
Like, it's crazy. And not even like horrors in a bad way, but like, I don't know. I've had some crazy experiences. I'm gonna go with Haley's Horrors.
Haley's Horrors?
Not to be mistaken with whores.
Let's specify a horrors.
Horrors.
Not horse. Horrors.
Sorry, my accent is a little Midwest.
Now listen, I deal with a lot of people from Chicago, so I feel like I tend to like talk like I get somewhat a Chicago accent sometimes when I talk, and if I talk to them too long, I'm like, I don't even know what my accent is. I don't even know what I sound like anymore.
So I have so many friends that live in Jersey, and I was just in there in June for GCW, and whenever they talk to me, if I talk to them for too long, I start to slip into the accent. And so like now, just in normal conversation, like it'll just come out when I'm mad, or I'm like, why do I have a Jersey accent?
So like, I'm not from here.
Is this what I've adopted? Is this my persona now?
You just become one with New Jersey. You're a Jersey girl now.
Honestly, put me on Jersey Shore. That's my goal in life.
Guilty pleasure show right there. But I've realized it's kind of the same thing. If I'm around people too long, or if I talk to them for a long period of time, I've done that a lot just in my life too, that I think about it. I constantly am slipping into accents or talking in a different way that isn't my own voice. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where is this coming from? Like, I'm enunciating A's differently for some things, and I'm from Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know where I'm getting this accent from half the time. I know some Pittsburgh people got that Yinzer accent. It's real intense. I don't think I have that. But I also don't think I have any other accent. I have multiple. I'm just a melting pot in my own brain at this point.
I love the melting pot analogy. But, like, same. When I was, like, a young teen and, like, One Direction was just starting up, I used to watch so many One Direction videos. I wanted to move to England so bad. I was like, when I graduate high school, like, I'm gonna go overseas to I'm gonna go to college there, and like Harry Styles is gonna fall in love with me. Yep. So I was just like adopting a British accent for the longest time, and I forgot that I was American, I think. Like I was living with like British stereotypes, and like if that's offensive, I'm sorry, but I was like 12, so.
You said, you know what? I'm gonna get this accent. I'm gonna become a Brit. Harry Styles is gonna love me.
I really thought it was gonna work.
But you were like 12, so that's fair.
Okay. You know, look at me now.
Exactly. Look at you now. No British accent. The occasional Jersey. But that's okay.
Entirely Midwest.
Like, where, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, where in the Midwest are you?
I'm from Ohio.
Okay, so you're not far from me.
No, I live close to Cleveland.
Oh, that's like 2 hours from me.
Yep. I pass through there often on my trips to Jersey.
We're here. but I actually have a lot of family in Ohio, so like I can't even really like hear an Ohio accent out of you. Actually, now that I think about it,
Really?
yeah,
Well, what part of Ohio are they from?
I have a lot of family like from and around Cleveland.
Oh. I was gonna say because if it's like lower Ohio, like there's like a little like you can
Oh,
tell.
oh yeah, for sure. I also like that about different like you can have a Pittsburgh accent or a Philly accent. We're on different ends of the state. Ohio, you can have 18 different accents depending on where you're from. Like Chicago, Jersey. Accents are cool.
Yeah, and people like I've been to Florida and stuff. I have family there, and people are always like, "You have an accent," but I don't think I do. Like, I think I sound normal.
See, I heard the Ohio when you said accent.
With
But like
with the A's.
it's the A's, yep.
Like talk, yeah,
It's
bag,
it's accent, yeah.
bag.
Yep. I
Yeah.
love it though. Like I love that no one sounds the same. If everyone sounded the same, shit would be boring.
So boring.
Like nobody wants to talk like this all the time. No, no, no. Inflection in your voice, accents. It's my favorite
It
shit.
makes us all unique.
Exactly. Exactly. So this like I was telling you, this episode's gonna drop in like 3 weeks from us recording. So for the next like month or so, what is going to be happening in your life? Whether it doesn't have to be personal. You can just tell me like all your professional
Yeah.
stuff that's going to happen. You said you're going to All Out, but like what else are you doing?
Well, Kylie and I are starting Romanticized Wrestling up. It's our new passion project to kind of spotlight the stories in wrestling because we have felt that we've kind of like it's kind of been lost to the athleticism in wrestling, which is great, but like I like the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to kind of dive deep into those. We have a bunch of shows that we are starting there. I don't know that I can tease anything right now, but we're also starting a trio series on Tag Talk. We're going to do like trios title predictions and hopefully some other fun things. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that's kind of what we have planned for right now.
Okay.
Or I have planned for right now.
No, like, and I love the whole idea of romanticized wrestling. The name, iconic. The logo, beautiful. I've actually had that. I have that on screen as like your little logo thing. Because I was like, using your face would be awesome, but I usually just do like if people have like the logo of their shows or anything. So I was like, that one's adorable. So I have to have that one on.
I spent so much time on that.
Okay, so you're the one who designed it.
Yeah.
That's did you like draw it by hand or like all online?
I do like digital art, yeah. Thank you.
I can't art for shit, so that is beautiful. I love that. And the fact that you're bringing more spotlight to stories. Storytelling in wrestling is one of the coolest things. Yeah, athleticism is awesome. Like, I love people who can. You're doing a 450? Hell yeah. Backflips? I wish I could.
I love flippy shit. I love tag team wrestling. I love like lucha stuff. I love it all. But the stories to me are more important.
Do you have like a favorite storyline you remember from like growing up?
I feel like I can't remember anything before like maybe like 2013. I don't know why.
That's
but
fine.
The thing that sticks out to me because I came back for like the Divas era.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was a storyline on Total Divas where like Natalia and Summer were just like at each other's throats all the time on the show, and then it transferred over to TV, and it was crazy. And then there was like a dominatrix storyline.
Yep.
You get like you remember that?
Oh, I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. Total Divas was one of the best shows ever.
And people talk so much crap about
Of
it, but
course they do.
listen, they introduced so many young girls and women to wrestling, and it was good. I don't care. If you guys can watch Ms. and Mrs., you can watch Total Divas.
I only watch Ms. and Mrs. for Maurice. Let's be real here.
So true. Maurice is
Like,
an
Maurice, Marjot's funny, and the girls because they're adorable.
icon.
Mike's just there. Total Divas was an inspiration. Bianca Belair has said Total Divas and Total Bellas is kind of the reason she started wrestling.
And look at her. She's an icon.
She is the EST.
Yes. I love Bianca so much.
Me too. She's. I want to meet her just because she seems like just this pure est. Like, she just looks. She seems like a bubbly, fun person to hang out with. It's not fair.
She's on my goals list to like interview or just like work with someday. Like I love her so much.
Oh yeah, do you have like any so besides Bianca, like anyone you want to interview or have on a show, interact with?
Oh yeah. My dream is the Bucks, but they don't do interviews.
Mm-hmm.
They did like their press tour for their book, and I came like right after that, so I didn't get that. But if they ever release another book someday, I'm Bucks. Listen.
Matt, Nick, are you listening?
Who else? Trish and Lita are up there for me too. I would love to like do something on Tag Talk with them, like a special. I don't know if that's possible, but if I could get either one of them, I could retire. I could literally leave wrestling media forever.
You said I'm cemented. I'm done. Now you'll actually hang up the boots this time.
I really would. Like if that ever happened, I would.
That would be incredible. I would binge the shit out of that. I would watch it so many times.
Thank you. I hope. Honestly, I'm gonna manifest that. I feel like it's possible.
I think that's very possible. Manifest it. Say it again with your chest. Say it. It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna write it down in my notebook.
That's another thing too. Like that's another way to manifest it. You don't have to just speak in existence, writing it down. Some people get like quotes and shit like tattooed. I get it. You gotta manifest it. It's gonna happen for you, Haley. You're gonna get Trish and Lita on Tag Talk.
Yep, it will. I'm gonna say it. It will happen.
You're not gonna get one or the other. No. You are gonna get both.
Hopefully.
If it happens, I'm gonna take a little bit of credit of that because I helped.
Credit you. I will clip this and be like, this is the reason why.
I like that you finished my sentence for me, basically. Thank you.
Finish each other's sentences.
Besties? Like we said. Come on now.
Team bestie?
Team bestie? Oh my god. Crazy. So, I've been asking you questions somehow throughout this just conversations we've been having. Do you have any questions for me? You can ask me anything podcast related, personal. Like I'm also like you. I am an open book, so anything you want to ask me, I am down to answer.
How did you get started in this?
So I love when people ask me this. The pandemic was a thing, and I was really into like Lillian Garcia's podcast at the time. I listened to like a few of Jericho's, depending on like who the guest was, Stone Cold's, and I decided to make a specific Twitter for wrestling because I didn't want to bother all my friends who don't watch wrestling and don't care. I was like, I'm gonna make this separate Twitter, which is the main Twitter I use now, basically. And I just randomly tweeted one day, something like, "What your girl got to do to get on a wrestling podcast?" I just said on. I meant like a one-off, just to talk about wrestling with people. It'd be great. Yeah, that turned into Steven from Wrestling News World told me to like hit him up. I was like, okay, dude telling me to hit him up in DMs. Suspicious, but I'll do it.
I want to talk.
And I was like, you know what? He seems kind of trustworthy, sure. Thankfully, he was, because he got me in touch with Kyle from Smacked Raw, and Kyle was looking for an AEW Dynamite host. And I was very much like, at that time, I was watching Dynamite live and then NXT after when they were on the same days. because like I said, I love me some both. I've been AEW multiple times. It's a great time. So I had like a interview thing with him on Zoom, and at this point, I've never really like interviewed with people who I didn't know on a camera. I never talked in public really. I had to take a public speaking class, but that was really it. I had no podcasting experience at all. And he asked me if I wanted it on like a Friday. I said, sure, I'm in. Come Monday, I'm a guest on their Monday Night Raw recaps because they used to do like recaps after every show. So I was a guest, I guess, or it was them introducing me to the rest of their like show and their audience that I was a part of the show now. So it was that. I had a lot of fucking internet issues, and I didn't have like the PC I'm using now, and a bunch of stuff. So there's a lot of issues, but I did that for a year. At some points, I was doing like every show. I did 6 shows in a week one time before I got my wisdom teeth taken out. Yeah,
Trooper.
I know. I worked too hard, as my friends tell me now. They're like, you didn't have to carry the show on your back. I was like, I know, but like I kind of felt like I had to, and I had to show myself.
I feel like that all the time.
Especially being like the only girl on the show, and I was like the newest person. I was like, I have to fucking prove myself to these dudes.
And that sucks that we feel like we have to do that. Like we shouldn't. Like our resumes and just our love of wrestling like should speak for itself. Like we shouldn't have to prove ourselves and our worth, you know? They don't have to, so why should we?
I agree 100%. It's because it's true. Like, we shouldn't have to prove ourselves, and yet we constantly have to. And so I did a year of that, and I was just like, you know what? I kind of want to venture off on my own. So after I hit a year, I did hit my year mark there. And then I told Kyle ahead of time, I was like, you know what? End of August, peacing out. And there was a lot of talks of me joining other podcasts as a part of their show. And we all kind of like teased it. We were like, oh, maybe she'll join this podcast or this podcast. I didn't join either. I'm recurring / unofficial official co-host for both of those shows now. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to make ShElite Showcase its own thing, its own entity. I brought on my co-host, who I met through Instagram, through our love of the Bucks, actually. And we created this empire, I'm calling it now.
I love it. There's not a lot of like female-led shows with like more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
And like Kylie and I talk about this all the time. Like there's not many, and that it's so weird that there isn't, but you know, we have to support each other.
Honestly, we do, because there's not a lot of us, and the ones that there are, like off the top of my head, I know like you guys, those wrestling girls, Down for the Count. Those are like the ones I know off the top of my head that are all females and multiple females. But again, I can only think of 2 off the top of my head. What does that say?
Exactly.
Which,
and you know, it comes down to like, I don't know if it's that like we feel like timid, or like we're like scared to do it because of like, you know, reaction from men. But I feel like these companies and like other places like just need to afford women these opportunities, and just let them do one show and just see how it goes. Like I promise you that your shows are going to be better with women on them. Yep. I promise you, they just are.
I agree 100%. Like the whole timid shy thing. I was not this outspoken 2 years ago. When I was on Smack Raw, it took me almost that whole year to find my voice. And here we are now, where I do multiple shows multiple times a week for multiple different podcasts. But it's because it's fun. And
it is.
It's so fun. This is like my only bit of serotonin in life is podcasting. So any chance I get to be on a podcast, I'm fucking taking it.
Exactly. Look, Kylie and I, so we film on Saturdays for Tag Talk, So we kind of like spend the whole week like watching wrestling and whatever. And I just like sometimes I'm just so depressed and I'm like, I'm looking forward to Saturday when we film, because usually afterward we spend like, we don't text each other every day or call each other. We spend like an hour. This week it was 2 hours because we were predicting the AEW's trios tournament together.
Mm-hmm.
um, but we just spent so much time afterwards just talking,
Yeah.
just shooting shit.
And why not? Like, especially if it's like talking to somebody you've grown close to, like you and Kylie. Uh, just being able to just talk to somebody for a little bit, even after you do a show and you're still on that high of like, hell yeah, the episode was great. I love what we did. That's the best part about it. I never just like end a show and then just end the call. I never do that.
I don't either. I love like sitting and just talking. It's just
It's what we did in the beginning before I started recording.
For
I,
10 minutes.
like, I like talking before a show. I like talking after a show. I even have a lot of the times, depending on if I'm not doing something after or have something planned, I always keep the stream up after Savannah and I do ShElite on Thursdays, because we're just interacting with the chat and or just talking to ourselves, and people can kind of listen / watch. Because why not?
Yeah.
That's why I do this shit, so people can peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Exactly. I feel like maybe that's like something. Maybe this is an idea. Maybe we should listen. I don't know.
You know, thinking of this was because I wanted to do something with interviews, but I didn't want to be like every other interviewer and just go straight for wrestlers. Because yeah, everyone, I would love to interview wrestlers one day. Like, that's the dream, that's the goal. Would I faint? Possibly, depending on the person. But I feel like I got a good track record with meeting people in person, like through like meet and greets and stuff, and I've kept my cool. So I feel like I'd be alright. But starting with podcasters, and like I started with like the core like group I had, and I've been friends with for like over a year now at this point, to get comfortable. And now I can do this with people I've only interacted with on Twitter, and we have this good connection, specifically me and you. Like, that's why I do this.
Me too. And I feel like that's a thing. Like, everybody starts a podcast because they want to be successful, or they want to interview celebrities or wrestlers or whatever it is, but everybody's doing that. And, you know, like you said, it would be great, but it's not like the end all be all, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it's a goal eventually to at least get a wrestler, but it's not like I need to do it right now, because I got other people I gotta talk to.
Exactly. And you know what? I have complete faith in you that you are going to achieve that dream.
Thank you. Man, these compliments. God.
Shooting them back and forth at each other.
That's what women do. We compliment each other. It's what we do best.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions for me? Anything else you wanted to know?
I feel like we've just been talking this whole time. Like, I'm just learning so much about you, and it's like hard for me to like come up with questions off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fair. I usually, because I think it's only fair that I ask people a bunch of questions, and so it's only fair that they could ask me whatever the hell they want.
Well, that's a good idea, though.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, I've done, so I have my own episode of Inside the Mind of. It is a shit show. We decided that our, like, the core group of friends I have that I talked about, they would write down questions. I wouldn't get to see them, so I knew nothing beforehand. And I had my friend Matt, who's of, see, and he gets mentioned on every Inside the Mind of, and I kept the trope alive. You're welcome, Matt. From Smackin' It Raw, not to be confused with Smacked Raw, different shows, similar names. It's a terrible time. But I had him ask me the questions, and I had to guess who asked the questions. If I got it wrong, I had to take a shot.
Ooh.
I got none right.
Oh, you were. Oh no.
Yeah, I got none right. That was a terrible episode for me. I threw up that night because
Shots of what?
it was Pink Whitney. And
Can
like
I
I
tell you a story?
oh please, you know what? Please.
I'm not a big drinker at all. But when I was in Jersey for GCW TOS weekend, you know, my friends, they got a suite and they had like a suite party, and there was Pink Whitney there. I had never drinking it in my life. But my friend Joe was like drunk, and I was basically babysitting him. But he was like, listen, like, take a shot with me, like, take a shot with me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. But then he roped me into taking a shot of Pink Whitney with him. And I was like, okay, one, completely fine. I went back for a second, and then a third, and he was like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I was like, look, I got 3 in. 5 minutes after my third shot, I was on the ground crying. And I don't even know why. Like, I wasn't sad. The tears were just coming. Like, it was so bad. And people were coming up to me, they're like, are you okay? Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, comforting me, and I'm just like sobbing on the ground. So embarrassing. And I had to be carried out.
Oh
and I got dropped on the floor. It was a lot.
Well, first of all, rude that somebody dropped you. But no, Pink Whitney's terrible. It was all I had left, and I didn't feel like going to the liquor store because it was like winter and it was cold outside, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. So it's all I had left. I can like feel it in my chest. It was a terrible. Like, I don't like it. Somebody, I think I bought it because I was like, oh, I saw it on TikTok. I think it's gonna be good. Fucking stupid. It's terrible. It's so gross. And like, I like vodka and everything. I'm a Svedka kind of girl, but it was the nastiest, worst time of my life. I even told all of them again. I was like, I would prefer a redo of my episode, but instead of just taking shots if I get them wrong, can I just like casually drink throughout the episode? And they're like, but you being not sober is the fun part. I'm like, but guys, I can't again. I can't.
I feel that with my entire chest. And like, the next day I mixed it with like raspberry lemonade, and honestly it wasn't that bad. So if I ever had to drink it again, that's what I would do. But
it has no to be mixed. If it's straight, it's the devil.
Yes. If the devil was a woman, it would be Pink Whitney.
Facts. Nothing but facts. That is the truest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. So, ew. Hate it.
Now I can feel it right now.
I literally feel it right here. I'm like, oh god. It's a terrible time.
I love that we can just bond about our traumatic experience.
Oh man, I have done so many podcasts drunk. I just did Young Kings Wrestling on Saturday. We did it after SummerSlam. I had 2 glasses of wine. Tell me why I can barely remember the shit we fucking talked about.
Girl.
Like,
listen, wine drunk is a whole different beast.
It is. And it was just like classic Barefoot Moscato. It's like my favorite wine. My friend got it. Haley. Baby girl, what is this? Like,
I just had a whole bottle of it the other day.
I have like, I think a glass left. My friend got me like one of the bigger, like the biggest bottle for my birthday. And so I had it in my fridge. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drink it for SummerSlam, because why the fuck not? So I had a glass during SummerSlam, and then I like poured my second glass, and then I came over here and sat down and got ready to do a podcast. Finished that during the podcast. I just remember ranting about Ronda Rousey. That's all I really remember.
Honestly. I love that so much.
And I don't even remember if that was on the show or after we were talking. I don't remember.
I felt that. Like I said, wine drunk, different animal.
It is. There's a reason I shouldn't be allowed to podcast wine drunk. Drunk, I don't care. Wine drunk?
I know what we're never doing together.
We're not allowed. If we drink, keep us away from all technology.
No Pink Whitney, no Barefoot Moscato, no vodka, no nothing.
No, we just have to drink water.
Yes. like when you're a kid and you use like apple juice or like grape juice and you're like, oh, like I'm drinking wine, like I'm so fit, like us with water pretending it's vodka.
As I choke on my water. No, definitely would be me and you. Everyone's gonna be like, are you guys drinking? Yeah. A little sip of water. Oh man, it burns.
Like, oh, it hurts so bad.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
So funny.
This has been such an episode. I am
So bad.
You know what? Then I think I did my job.
You so did.
Thank you again, Haley, for coming on and doing this with me. This was so much fun. You have to tell the people where they can find you, everything like that, what you're doing.
Yes, I am notoriously horrible at plugs, but you can find me on Twitter at HaleyAnne, HALEYANNE_. I am a writer and editor at Nerds and Beyond, so I do some wrestling stuff over there, but it's mostly like nerdy pop culture stuff because, like I said, I do entertainment journalism as a day job. I'm on Tag Talk with Kylie. New episodes air every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Fightful Overbook channel. Definitely go check it out. There's tons of great content over there with so many amazing creators. And you can follow Romanticized Wrestling on Twitter at Romantic Wrestle. We have so many announcements planned, so definitely stay tuned for that.
And if you're not following Haley, you need to right now. No. They need to. Whether it's her talking about trios titles in Kenny Omega, or her posting bomb-ass fire photos under the Fine Women Watch Wrestling hashtag, you all need to go support our girl. You're welcome.
I love that we just hyped each other up this whole time. Like, I'm in such a better mood now.
You know what? I'm glad. And it's still early in the day as we record this. Raw's tonight. Hopefully, hopefully things are better.
I think I may actually watch this week, which I never do.
I think you might have to, specifically for Bailey, Dakota, and Io.
Yep. That's 100% why I'm watching. Shout out to Triple A.
Big shout out to Papa H. Big shout out. Love you, Paul. Material girl. And you know you can follow me on Twitter at KatieWrestling13 and link tree I'm about to take all things ShElite Showcase, twitch.tv/ShElite Showcase, Thursday 6 p.m. Eastern if you want to come by on the live stream, youtube.com/ShElite Showcase. There's a lot of S's involved in that sentence, but I got my custom URL that I was begging people for, and that's all I really wanted, so go watch the videos, because they're way more entertaining, like this video. It's so much fun. You get to see what we're laughing about and all of the movements I make, and it's great. Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, if you like to listen. Huge shout out to Heel Tactics, Justin. He created the music that you hear in Inside the Mind of, ShElite Showcase, In the Crowd, which is to be determined on what I do with that show, and my co-host show, New Japan Takeover. Again, Haley, thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. We will have to do something again soon.
Oh, yes, 100% we are. I'm literally going to text Kylie after this and be like, listen.
Hype it up. Be like, you're going to have a blast.
It's going to be so much fun. Like, yes. I'm going to put you over, I promise.
Alright. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone watching and listening. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time. Bye-bye.